Sage helps our memory and much more proven by research. Lowers cholesterol. The Department of Pharmacology and Applied Medicine did a study with a group of 67 people. 34 took a sage extract capsule every 8 hours for 2 months. Those who took the sage saw a note for the improvement of 19% in cholesterol levels, while the control group had no significant changes. Learn how lower high cholesterol naturally. 2. Improves memory. A memory test showed that those who took sage oil capsules achieved better results than those who hadn't. Study at the University of Newcastle upon Tyne in June 2003. A study with 44 healthy adults aged between 18 and 37 in September 2003, some were given sage oil capsules and others placebos. Again, those who consumed the sage oil capsules had improved memory results. This proves how valuable the work by the old herbalists is, and that they shouldn't just be ignored because they were writing centuries ago. This research has serious implications for people suffering from Alzheimer's disease, as it will inform drug research and development, said research team leader Nicola Tildsoli. 3. Alzheimer's treatment. The research found sage to be helpful with memory. It was only natural to test it out with the Alzheimer's condition. In a study, people with mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease were given either sage extract or a placebo for 4 months. There was a very good improvement in cognition as well as a reduction in agitation compared with the placebo group. 4. Helpful for diabetics. Research found that participants with poorly controlled type 2 diabetes had a positive effect after taking sage. After 2 hours of fasting, blood sugar levels were significantly decreased compared with the control group. These sugar substitutes may cause more diabetes than they help. 5. Helps menopausal hot flashes disappear or lessen. 30 women who had menopausal hot flashes and night sweats were given an extract of sage and alfalfa. The results were that in 20 women all symptoms disappeared and the remaining 10 showed some improvement. Italian study, 1998. Then in 2011, practices in Switzerland with 71 women with at least 5 hot flashes a day were given a dose of fresh sage daily for 8 weeks. The hot flashes decreased by 50% after 4 weeks and 64% after 8 weeks. 6. Useful for treatment of herpes cold sores. A combination of sage and rhubarb extracts were used in a study of 149 patients. The results showed that it was more effective than Sovirax cream, a prescription medicine used for lessening herpes cold sores. 7. Healing for a sore throat. Sage throat spray used in a study of 286 patients to compare the usefulness against a placebo for very sore throats. The 15% sage spray was found to be more effective in getting rid of throat pain. Additional benefits. History has said that sage is a healing herb from curative for snake bites, epilepsy, intoxication, worms and intestinal problems, and even as an aphrodisiac. Also, sage tea is said to be good for treating colds and fevers, headaches and indigestion. Sage nutrition. It has many volatile oils, including apigenin, diosmin, and luteolin, and omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. Also, it is an excellent source of vitamin K and a good source of vitamin A. For more information, sage nutrient details. History of sage. For thousands of years, sage has been consumed by countries surrounding the Mediterranean Sea and is native to these countries. Sage has one of the longest histories of any medicinal herb in medicinal lore. The healing properties of sage were said to have been highly prized by Greeks and Romans. It was treated as sacred by the Romans, who created a special ceremony for gathering sage. It was also used as a preservative for meat by both civilizations, a tradition that continued until the beginning of refrigeration. Science is just now starting to confirm what these cultures knew from experience, that sage is helpful at reducing spoilage. Throughout history, sage's legendary status continued. In the 10th century, Arab physicians believed it granted immortality, while 14th century Europeans used it to protect themselves from witchcraft. During 17th century China, sage was in such high demand, appreciated for the delicious tea beverage it makes. 3 cases of tea leaves reportedly were traded for 1 case of sage to the Dutch. To this day sage is still regarded with high esteem. Trivia and interesting sage facts: sage is part of the Lamiaceae, mint, family, which includes oregano, lavender, rosemary, thyme, and basil. It has been used as a medicinal and preservative for centuries. Sage was highly revered by the Greeks and Romans, who made a special gathering ceremony. It was believed to grant immortality by Arabian healers of the 10th century, and Europeans 4 centuries later used it to ward off witchcraft. There are more than 900 species of sage. More than 2 million ounces of sage are sold in the U.S. each year. Through history, the herb sage has been a healing herb, supposedly curing everything from snake bites, eye problems, infection, epilepsy, intoxication, memory loss, worms and intestinal problems, or prescribed as an aphrodisiac. The word sage took on another meaning, wise person, as it was believed to stimulate the brain, therefore increasing powers of concentration, memory, and reasoning. In the 19th century, America's sage was rubbed on the teeth to make them whiter. The International Herb Association awarded sage the title of Herb of the Year in 2001. How to select and store: fresh sage is best, better than dried for flavor. Make sure the leaves are fresh and a vibrant green-gray with no dark spots or yellowing. When buying dried sage, select organically grown sage so you know that it has not been irradiated. Wrap fresh leaves in a damp paper towel inside a lightly closed plastic bag in the refrigerator. It will keep fresh for a few days. Keep dried sage in a tightly sealed glass jar in a cool, dark, dry place for about 6 months. Tips for eating or cooking: sage has a very delicate flavor, so add it near the end of the cooking to preserve its essence. Use it fresh or dried, whole or ground. Adding some sage to a dish will enhance the flavor with no added calories or sodium. Boost your memory by adding some sage to your stews and soups, or drink some sage tea.